Welcome to CoBB, Conversations on the Business of Brands with Sudeep Chawla and Sharan Raghavan.
Congratulations, Sudeep.
This is
New
for
job.
new job.
You're all over the media. New job, CMO, Syntax.
It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the role. All of this coverage, had it been somebody else, the coverage would have been similar. So I have not created the difference. The title has.
Gone on to get the title, new job. So congratulations. Anyway.
Correct. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question with your new role only. See, you've been in FMCG. And Pidilite, I'm not sure if you'd classify that as FMCG, but it's kind of is. It's a B2B to C kind of a setup. And I meet a lot of marketers who say, FMCG is where I can learn marketing. I can't learn marketing anywhere else. And you having been in FMCG, moved to Pidilite and now with Syntax, is this true?
Excellent question, Sharan. And I think it's a great setup for our discussion today. And let me also tell you that I have also heard this from a lot of people, having managed a wide set of marketing team in Pidilite and now in Syntax. This is truly an impression that a lot of people carry with them. No doubt about that.
I'm curious to say how you going to say no.
Actually, yeah. And in fact, let me try to deconstruct marketing and possibly highlight aspects of marketing that can be learned anywhere, and that must be learned anywhere. Right?
Perfect.
If you're a marketer, you must put your efforts in a direction to learn this, and it does not require any different setting from where you are in today.
I was saying non-FMCG people will learn like FMCG people even without support?
Of course, 100%. And I can say this from experience, having worked now in both FMCG as well as B2B, B2C, B2B2C type of setup. And I can say that I have decent amount of experience in both sides. So when I look at now marketing, Sharan, I would possibly divide marketing into 3 or 4 parts, right? Marketing learning per se.
Okay.
Right. First part of marketing is product management. Second part is behavioral marketing.
Okay.
Third part is traditional media management. And fourth is digital media management.
Okay, you're breaking media into 2, traditional and digital. Okay.
Just because, digital has started playing many roles which were earlier done by traditional marketing, traditional media and beyond. And hence, maybe digital requires a separate mention. But
fair enough.
4 parts.
Okay, so let's get into each one of them. Let's start with product management. I think that's where the biggest our misunderstanding or understanding is.
So very interestingly, this is one role that largely exists in almost every company across the world. Either you have a physical product or a digital product or a service, you will always have somebody managing that product. The most universal role in any marketing team across the world. Now, product management is all about, starting from ideation or need gap analysis to creating the funnel for new products or innovation, and then managing the entire launch. And then once you have launched a product, or you have some kind of a product which is already ongoing, analyzing growth or the lack of it, finding gaps, addressing them, etc., and finally leading to activations on the ground or on digital, etc., whichever is relevant to you. Yeah. Now let me skip behavioral marketing and let me explain the other 2 first. Right? Traditional and digital media is about understanding relevant media vehicles or media channels. Like when I say traditional media, I mean TV, print, radio, out of home, cinema, etc. And digital media is social media, search,
anything on screen.
Yeah, mobile and all of that. So understanding nuances of each one of those vehicles, what roles do they play, what can they do for you, etc., and then how to marry brand objectives to the role that media vehicles can play. If you understand all of this and all aspects of it, then you've understood how to do media management. One part which is now of course referred to more commonly as performance marketing, which I like to call as bottom of the funnel marketing. So bottom of the funnel marketing largely also becomes a part of digital media management. If you have sufficient signals available digitally of people who are in the process of buying your brand and have already made up their mind and are in the purchase journey, then digital, of course, offers you a way of targeting them, and so do offline stores. It's just that digital becomes more efficient and in terms of effort and money, but that is something which gets included in your traditional media and digital media.
But I'm curious why you skipped behavioral marketing.
I skipped that, Sharon, because I want to talk about it a little bit more in detail. And the reason to do that is that behavioral marketing is something, Sharon, I believe differentiates good marketers from the rest, because a good marketer would learn all of these technicalities to varying degrees of proficiency. But what separates them is this aspect of behavioral marketing. And therefore, I wanted to talk about behavioral marketing a bit.
Okay.
Uh, Behavioral marketing, very simply, is about knowing your consumers, understanding what behavior shift do you want to induce in them for your product or service to be bought more, understanding the levers of those shifts. Why would that shift happen? What would you make them believe and therefore behave, etc.? And then, putting all your resources, which is your effort, your articulation, as well as the entire media behind this particular objective of creating that behavioral shift.
This is what you often call hyper empathy, which is
Yeah.
the best way to describe this.
Yeah, which is where it starts, hyper empathy, to taking the ownership of finally creating that behavioral shift amongst consumers over a period of time.
Got there. You mentioned intermediary, right? B to B to C. Now, it is fair when all the interests are aligned. But a lot of the time, the intermediary's interest is not necessarily aligned with delivering the long-term value to the end consumer, which as a brand you might already be offering. Now, when these interests are not aligned, then how do you build this hyper empathy? Do you have to build separate levels of hyper empathy with the consumer and intermediary? How does it work?
So, interesting question, and thank you for asking this, Sharan. I would elevate this a little bit, Sharan, and say that, and again, my realization is that any human being, regardless of what position they hold and what role do they play in their professional capacity, all of them tend to finally choose convenience over everything else, right?
Path of least resistance.
Path of least resistance. So you might give somebody humongous amount of benefits to sell something, but if they continuously find it very difficult, they will get rid of it sooner than later, right? So, and convenience is of both type, physical convenience as well as mental convenience, right? What I mean by mental convenience is that when you are any action that you're taking, you always mentally also reconcile with it, right? Even if the action is simple, but it is mentally inconvenient, you will not do it over a period of time, right? Something that, and mental convenience also speaks to your conscience, your moral compass as well.
Yeah,
right?
values. Definitely.
Values, right? So therefore, any marketer or anybody must recognize that people do things by convenience, right? Too often, marketers tend to come up and say that this is so wonderful, my product is so wonderful, the offer is so wonderful, yet the consumers are not choosing it, or yet my sales team is not selling it, right? So blaming them will not take you anywhere. One must understand that whatever is the dominant behavior, predominant behavior, has been conditioned because of a certain convenience that those people have received, and hence there's this steady state that needs to be disrupted. Now, disruption is the job of a marketer, right? And this disruption would come from, one, giving people a cogent reason,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it could be a logical reason, illogical, psychological, physiological, psychosomatic, any kind of reason
Okay.
to think and behave differently.
Different to what they used to, a reason
Correct.
to change.
Correct. And I say think and behave because I'm acutely aware of the mental inconvenience, right? You might get somebody to behave, but till they're minds and body are not aligned, they will never get that.
Fair enough. Okay. You've made a sense of the physical mental convenience and the disruption needed to create change in the way they think and behave. Okay.
Correct. Third piece is practice. Now that they've adopted a new practice,
Mhm.
adopted a new way of thinking and behaving, how do you get them to practice that way of thinking and behaving over and over again, such that it becomes their default way, right? uh,
It becomes a habit from just a
becomes a
behavior.
habit. Yeah.
Hmm.
So if you help them create a new habit with or without your product,
Mhm.
uh, and that habit is so wonderful, they will tend to do it again. If that habit is very, very difficult or tedious or inconvenient, it will never stick, right? And the last part on this, Sharan, I think, which is equally important,
Mhm.
is to understand that the convenience benchmark of your consumers are continuously shifting. One, because of their life stages, right? What was convenient for you when you were younger might not remain convenient for you when you become older, right?
True.
Physically.
Right.
Now, mentally, you are receiving a lot more information every day. Previously, Pepsi seemed like a perfectly convenient and justified way of quenching your thirst. Over a period of time, the sort of information that you've received today, any adult would slightly, hesitate in picking up a cold drink just to quench
Right.
their thirst, right?
Right.
So, therefore, your mental information, your physical growth, circumstances around you, situations around you keep changing. And hence, consumers' convenience benchmark is also changing. And hence, not only do you have to habituate the consumer, you also have to continuously keep up your game to remain relevant and convenient for your consumers.
This again goes back to what we discussed about loyalty, right? How you
Correct.
drive loyalty
Correct.
is by enabling physical and mental availability.
Correct.
And that's what it comes down to.
Correct. So I'm just saying, from availability, I'm going to convenience, right? And they are loyal to their habit, not to your product.
Exactly. So I think I love the 4 points you said. You said first, give them a convenient way to think and act mentally and physically. Make
Yep.
it convenient for them.
Yeah.
Then you're saying give them a reason to change the existing behavior. Then convert that behavior into a habit. Again, make it convenient for the behavior to become a habit. And then make sure you are mentally and physically available so that you're conveniently picked up. The habit can continue. I think that's a good way to capture behavior marketing. Yeah.
And I would also say that not only should you be mentally and physically available, but you should try to continuously innovate to fill up any gaps in convenience that might get created,
Correct.
right?
So
Look
even
at, say,
distribution, right?
distribution, the width of distribution, the style of distribution, the formats in which you are available. If you're an app, for example, just look at the fact that Flipkart and Amazon, despite having significant number of consumers, or as they call as MAU and DAU,
Mhm.
they're still working on their products every day, making it more convenient, making it more intuitive, etc., to continuously bridge that convenience gap with their consumers.
Right. So because you brought up Amazon and Flipkart, I'm reminded of a conversation with Lijo when he was on
Yeah,
CoBB, where
yeah.
we spoke of product marketing.
Product marketing, correct.
One of the issues he mentioned was that the product marketing, it's very siloed when you go into especially tech domains. The product marketing person ends up being siloed versus the consumer marketing person versus the bottom of funnel media management person. And this siloing of these roles is also something that drives the perception of saying, I'm not able to do all of this when I'm outside FMCG.
Yeah,
That also in
you're
FMCG, you
right.
get to do all of it.
Precisely.
How does that work in your kind of setups?
So in I would imagine that in any technical category which is slightly technical in the form of its technology that is involved in making it,
Mm-hmm.
whether it is digital or physical, I'd assume that there will be a little bit of specialization that will be needed.
Right.
And hence a product manager will be much more inward looking than outward looking. I completely align with that. Where I see significant opportunity is when the in the initial phases, when the product manager is doing need gap analysis,
Mm-hmm.
then when they're doing, when they're building features and they are doing the what you call as UAT or feasibility study or beta launch, etc., that time. And number three,
Mm-hmm.
when they are launching, in all of these three places, they force a product manager to look outwards towards their target segment,
Okay.
right? And demonstrate and visualize exactly those 4 steps that we spoke about, right?
Got it. Okay.
So if they are practicing this,
Uh-huh.
uh, and I'll give you another example. You're a product manager, a technical category. You made a product after following all the steps, etc., etc. Now is the time to take that product to the market, right? I've seen a lot of product managers lose steam and get tired by the time their product is done. They have to fight so many battles internally
Right.
that just getting the product out seems like such a relief. So by the time the product is just about to go out, they're happy and they've already received nirvana of all the activities that they've done thus far. But my push to them will be that now your target segment, your consumer, is your GTM team, your sales team, or whoever is going to take that product to prospective users, consumers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now those guys also have a way of being. They have also evolved convenient practices, mental as well as physical. Now why would they change? Just because you've launched a product does not mean that they would start behaving differently from tomorrow. So you have to apply the same process all over again and create some kind of disruptions, then get them habituated, and then keep pace with whatever their convenience benchmark is. So not only are you trying to apply marketing principles to your consumers or your end users, you're also applying it to other target segments like your internal stakeholders, right? So there are ample opportunities, Sharan, for product managers, brand managers across anything that they do to practice this behavioral marketing, right? The non-technical side of marketing. And I believe that if you use every day, every single day of your job to practice this, you will end up becoming very, very good at it. Yeah, you will follow uh, Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hour rule, but the 10,000 hours does not come just by writing that I have worked for these many years or hours on your CV. It comes out of thinking for those many hours, applying for those many hours.
I like how you said. So the product marketing and the media management comes under a technical domain where you have the help of other technical experts to help you. And that is what varies from industry to industry. And whether you're in B2B, B2C, B2B2C, it is the behavioral marketing which forms the crux of your marketing expertise. And when you can, like the 4 stages you mentioned, if you can master that, then you can learn to be a good marketer irrespective of the industry you're working in. I think that's a very hopeful way to end the episode, despite the title of it.
Thank you. Hopefully.
Thank you for listening to CoBB, Conversations on the Business of Brands with Sudeep Chawla and Raghavan. Subscribe and learn more at cobcast.net.